Welcome to a walkthrough video on how to use the record keeping template for manufacturing business. If you are in a business that converts raw material to finished goods, like the baking business, you bake bread, you bake cake, you convert raw material and produce and have a finished product. It might not be baking, but you go through this process of converting raw material into finished goods. Then this template will help and ease the task of record keeping for your business. So this is a walkthrough video on how to use this template. You can purchase this template. Check the description link below in this video you're watching to purchase this template. Now, this is the interface of this template, and we have different thumbnails that navigate us to different sections of the template. Here on the setting, when you click on it, it takes you to the settings section of the template where you input details about your business and also set up expense category and customer details. You have your business name, business address, the website, the email, the phone number, then the template start date. This date is very key. Let's say you purchase this template in September and you hope to use it in October, right? Your start date will be 1st of October. Let's say you purchase it 25th September, thereabout, or even before then, and you want to get your books ready in order to transfer details to this template. So you want to start using it from the 1st of October. So that will be the template start date. So you input the 1st of October in here because this date will help us in other section of this template. It will help us calculate some key transaction for other section and also control the input, the user input in other section of this template. Right. So coming to the expense category, there are expenses that has already been listed for you. For any expense that is not relevant to your business, you can delete it. This is already in an Excel table. So if you select it, you go to the tab, you see that it's a table design showing that this is an Excel table. So if there is anything that you don't really, maybe it's not relevant to your business, you just right click on it, go to delete and you click delete. There's this table row option, you select it and it will delete. Right, if there is anything you need to edit, you just double click and you edit. So that's how the table function works. You select, right click. If you want to delete, click on delete, then the row. Right, so that's it. So in this section too, it's also a table, the customer details. You can see the table design. You have the customer code, customer name, the contact. The first customer here is by default the cash customer. Yes, the essence of you having customer details is mainly customers that you do credit transaction with, and you need to keep account of all transactions you have with those customers in order to checkmate yourself, your business, and to also follow up for payment, prompt payment with those customers. That's the essence of profiling your customer details. Here we have to profile cash customers. Cash customer is not a particular person, but it's a default customer name for all cash transactions. There are people that you don't profile. They just come and buy and go. They pay and go. So you just profile those ones as cash customer. Just this code will capture every cash transaction, right? So you can edit if you don't want this customer code. You edit to anyone that suits your business and input your customer details here, right? So that's it for the settings section. Let's go back to the interface by clicking here. So the stock details. Here, you input your raw material. Mind you, this is a record keeping template for manufacturing businesses. I stated earlier, for business that converts raw material to finished goods, meaning that your stock is made up of two types, raw material and finished goods. So that's why we have under the stock details, we have the raw material section and the finished goods section. Here you input your stock code. I'm using a bakery business as an example. The stock description, then the unit of measurement. How do you use this raw materials? Is it by kg, by bag, liter, pieces? You have to input it. How you use it is what you have to input under the unit of measurement. It's quite key. Then the opening stock. Now, as I stated earlier, you purchase this in September and you want to start using it 1st of October. So your opening stock for flour right now, that's this RM raw material 001, will be this, the number of stock you have in your store as at the last day of September. So as at the last day of September, let's say 11:59 p.m. So the last day before you enter into a new day, which is 1st of October, the last day of September, what is the quantity in stock? So that will be your opening stock as at 1st of October 2021. Please, let's have this clear because that opening start date is quite key, which we're going to be using in other section. And this opening stock is also quite key because every other transaction that comes after that day from the first you start inputting on this template. But transactions that are before the 1st of October, when you start using this template, you cannot input on this template. Right, so get this right. Then the opening cost per unit, these are just random figures. So for illustration purpose, this is the opening stock per unit for this stock. Right. So this column helps to check to ensure you don't input duplicate stock. So you are only allowed to input unique stock code here, meaning that you cannot input flour and come again to input flour. So it has to be unique stock code. You just have to mention each of your raw material stock detail once here. So if you input it twice, it's going to tell you there is a duplicate. So you need to check that out and make the correction. Same applies to the finished goods. You have the product code, the product description, just like we're using the bread business as an example. So you have your product code, you have different bread size. So we sell in loaves. That's our unit of measurement, you see. So we sell in loaves. So that's why I'll say in this place, how do you use this raw material? Is it in kg? You put in kg, right? Good. So you have the opening stock. What's the stock as at the last day before you started using this template? What is the closing stock? So that will be the opening stock, right? So you put the quantity, and this will also ensure you don't repeat a product twice. So that's it concerning the stock details transaction. And mind you, all these are in an Excel table. So automatically, if you start inputting another information, it updates. If you start inputting another information, it updates. If you want to delete any information, just select, right click on it and select delete table rows, right? So that's just how you go about it. So let's go back to the interface and move to the next section. The next section is the raw material in and out. Click on it. Here we have two sections. You can see in this section, the users are allowed to make inputs. While from this point, from column I down to R, from column I down to column R, it has formula in it and automatically it updates. It has formula in it, automatically it updates. So I'll just concentrate in this section. So when you come here, you put the date of your transaction type. If it's a purchase of raw material, you select purchase. What's the effect? When you make purchase, there is an increase. So you select increase, right? So the supplier name, the document number, maybe the document the supplier issued you, then you have to select the code of the raw material you purchase, right? So immediately you select it, you see it updates, the description will update here. Then the quantity based on your unit of measurement, right? So based on you have to input the quantity based on, let's say for instance, you buy flour in bag and you use in kg. So you can weigh that flour in bag, maybe it's a 50 kg bag. So you put 50 kg, not minding that you bought it in bag, but you know the weight is 50 kg because you are using flour by kg. So your unit of measurement is based on your usage. So have that in mind. So you see, we have 3, then the amount is 3,000. So we bought the entire tray for 3,000. So these are what you are expected to impute here. Now, I also want to talk about the second transaction type, the usage. When you select the usage, you first of all impute the effect. Right. Okay, let me just undo so that we'll go to the next. Okay, here we have usage. On this date, we have usage. And you can see the effect is a decrease because you are taking from the stock you have in stock. So usage, the effect is a decrease in your stock. So because you are taking to use, it will reduce. You don't need to put the supply because you're not buying, you're just using from the store. You don't need to put anything here. The only thing you need to do is to impute the stock code and the quantity that you use based on the unit of measurements you picked from the store. So the transaction date, transaction type, effect on transaction, stock code, and transaction quantity when it's usage. You don't need to put amount because you're not buying. So you just impute this one, you can leave it blank, or maybe you want to put something that will help you. You understand, but you can still leave it blank. So immediately you see if the updated transaction is a minus because you are taking from stock, it reduces it. So that's just what I want to mention. And for adjustment, let me select adjustment here. Now, the adjustment is as a result of, first, when you count the inventory, you do physical stock counting and you compare it with what you have on your record, and there is a difference. You have to make adjustments, and that adjustment can lead to either an increase or a decrease. So there is a stock taking section. When we get there, I'll also explain this, but I'll just explain it for you to understand the entry you need to make here. So let's say you did stock taking on the 9th of June, right? So that date is what you'll input there here. The date that stock taking took place and there was a variance, that's the date you'll input here. Then you come here, put adjustment. Now, is the variance going to bring about an increase or will it decrease this raw material? Let's say you counted raw material PM001 and you got 10 pieces, but what you have on your record is 8 pieces, meaning that what you counted is higher than what you have on your record, meaning that you have to come and adjust for 2, the difference of 2, which will have to increase what you have on your record because your physical count is higher than your recorded, what is on your record. So you increase it. You don't need to impute anything here. The way you handle usage is the way you handle adjustment. So you don't need to impute anything here. Just select the code, input the number. If it's an increase, it will be positive. If it's a decrease, it will be negative. That's just what you have to do. So a decrease occurs when the recorded inventory is higher than what you counted physically. So you just don't come and, yes, you will have to impute the adjustment, but it will also help you to make investigation, to put control measures. Why is the recorded inventory quantity either higher or lesser with the physical count you made? So these are things that you will question, query, even after making the adjustment, right? It will also help you to know the next step to take, make key decisions, right? And also for adjustment, if there are, let's say, other things, maybe other adjustment, you just want to do like some manual adjustments you noticed. It may not be from differences with stock count, as the physical stock count and the recorded stock count. It can be some manual adjustments at the point of production that you just need to adjust. Maybe you just returned, okay, I took 5 kg and I didn't finish it, I had to return. So you can just make the adjustment, right? And it's the same process, right? So that's it concerning this section. And there's something I also want to mention. You see that in this updated section, you don't need to tamper with it. These have formulas. Please, from this section where we have the light yellow head column heading, it all has formula in it. So don't tamper with it. You can just come here, read to understand what's happening. So for each transaction, you get to know the previous quantity on hand. Then based on this transaction, there was a purchase. So there is an increase, 3. So the current quantity after the transaction. You understand the previous average cost and current average cost. So we are using average cost method to cost our raw material inventory, right? So for every purchase, the average cost will change because money is involved. But for every usage or adjustment, money is not involved, right? So that is one thing you also need to know. Have it in mind that this is an Excel table, and for you to delete any transaction, you can just right click, select the role information you want to delete, and you just click on delete table rows, right? And if you start imputing another transaction, automatically it updates. That's how Excel table works, right? So we go back to our interface and we get to the finished goods in and out. The finished goods moving in and out. So in here, you have the section where the user makes the inputs. And also we have the section where the user is not allowed to make input because we have formulas in here and it updates automatically based on the user's input in this section. So have it in mind, you don't input from this column I down to column O. You are only allowed to input from column A to column H, right? So you have your date, transaction type, effect on inventory, transaction details, person responsible, product code, transaction quantity, and transaction unit price. Right. So if what I would like to explain here is the transaction type. If it's a production, it will increase, right? The effect is that it will increase the finished goods in our store. If you're supplying to your different sales agents and people that are agent that sells for you, you understand, you click on this supply, and when you come to effect, it's a decrease because you are taking stock from your store to supply to sales agents. Then you input the transaction details, who is the person, who is the sales agent responsible. Then you input the product code, then the quantity supplied, then the price for that product. So this is where you end your input. Every other things automatically update. Please have that in mind so you don't alter these formulas in here. So for the adjustment, just as I stated, when there are differences between your physical count, stock count, and the records you have, which will lead to an adjustment. Or when there is a return, you supply and there is a return. The return will lead to an increase because it's returning back to the store, so it will increase the quantity in the store. So you can just put the description. So adjustment, if it's from stock count, just as I mentioned earlier, when your physical stock count is higher than what you have in your records, right? It's a positive increase. So you select adjustment and you select increase if it's a positive one. And mind you, if it's an adjustment that results from the variance we have from our physical stock count and the stock quantity we have in our records, you have to input the date of that stock count before inputting the adjustment. Have that in mind. If I made the stock 30th of August 2021, you understand, we made, after stock taking, there's an adjustment and the physical stock count was higher. So I come here and say adjustment and I'll click on increase. Then I'll say increase from stock take. Select the product code. Let me just select this. Then the quantity, transaction quantity, and the unit price for that transaction. So you stop at column H. Every other thing automatically updates in this other section, right? So ensure you input the date the stock taking took place, right? Input that date, then select adjustment. Is it the variance? Is it bringing about increase or decrease? If it's an increase where the physical count is greater than the records you have, then it's a decrease where the physical count is less than. So I always say ensure you make the necessary decision based on the results of your stock taking, not just coming to do adjustment. Ask question why. Ask question why the difference. Put control measures, right? So you put the quantity. Let's say there's one here. You just put one. Now we definitely know there is an increase, right? If we select that it's a decrease, notice what happened. The updated will be minus. So you just put the number, it will update. Select the effect, put the number, it will update here, right? So that's it for this section of the template, which is the movement of finished goods. And this is an Excel table. As I stated earlier, you can also delete, and as you input more information, it updates automatically. So let's go back to the interface. So we'll be looking at the sales transaction section. You click on it, and here you have the section where you are allowed to make inputs from column A to column G. This other section updates automatically. It has formula. So the transaction date, the sales type. The sales type, we have cash sales, credit sales, and credit payment. All right. So if it's a cash sales, remember your cash customer. You just select the cash customer. All right. That's what you select. So you just select your cash customer if it's a cash sale. The document, there may be an invoice or receipt. You put the document number, select the product, quantity sold, and the price per unit for that particular product. And every other thing here will update because we have formula. Please don't tamper with the formula here. Don't tamper with it. Just input from column A down to column G of the sales, daily sales transaction section. So if it's a credit sale, select the customer, input the date, you select credit sales and input the customer. If it's payment, just as we have here, there's no need of putting the quantity. For payment, please don't put the quantity, just put the amount paid. The amount paid, select the code, amount paid, leave this transaction quantity and just put the amount paid. Right, that's just all you have to do. So have that in mind, right? And also have it in mind that this is also in an Excel table. So that's it for the daily sales transaction section. We'll go back and we'll go to the expense transaction section. And in here, you just have to input in each of the column. Each of the column, you have the transaction date, vendor name, transaction details, expense category, and amount. This is already in an Excel table, as you can see. It's in an Excel table. So you put the date of the transaction, the vendor you are paying, or the supplier. This is not like your raw material purchase. These are expenses you incur while running the business. Just as we have in our setting where we have the expense category, you can see them here listed. As we imputed in our setting, you can see all the expense category listed. So based on each expense, you select the category. Based on each expense, select the category, then you put the amount. All right, so that's just all you have to do in this section. I also have it in mind that this is also in an Excel table, and you know how to input another information or data transaction. You know how to input another transaction here, and also how to delete in an Excel table. So that's it for the expense transaction section. Let's go back to the interface. So we have the raw material stock taking. For this, you want to take stock. You are ready to take stock, and you started taking stock maybe on this date. This is the date you took your stock, right? So the stock code is what you will input. The user is expected to input the stock code, and you don't repeat a stock code twice. Immediately you repeat that, there will be an alert on duplicate code. This column to tell you that this code is appearing twice. So every code here should be unique. So you input the code, then you come to this place and input the count. When you count based on the physical stock counting, you input the number counted. you impute the number counted, 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 right? So that is how you go about the stock counting. The other section with the yellow heading, yellow like heading, you don't impute, the user is not allowed to impute anything here. They all have formulas. So you're just allowed to impute the day you're taking the stock, impute your stock code, and the physical stock quantity counted. So you just impute it and every other thing will compute itself. So this is the variance that you pick now and put on your adjustment, that's on your movement sheet. So for this one, you can see one, and if it's 30th, you go back to your raw material, come here, 30th, adjustment, increase, select the code. So you pick them one after the other that way. Right, so that's how you go about it. So for all this one that we have variances, you go back to your raw material, in and out, and make the necessary adjustments using the stock taking date, right? So that's it for raw material stock taking. Remember, this is an Excel table. All you need to do is just to input your date, the stock code, and the quantity counted for each stock item. Good. So we'll go back to the interface. We'll go for the finished goods stock taking. So this is for finished goods. Your products, as we're using a bakery business as an example. So the bread is our finished goods, different sizes of bread. So you input the date you are doing the physical count, then the product code and the physical quantity counted. Every other thing with the yellow like column heading will automatically update itself. So ensure you don't tamper with those columns because it has formula in it, right? So this duplicate on alert on duplicate code will alert you when you input code twice, when you input a product code twice, right? So that's it for this section of the template. So we go back to the interface, and here we get to the final section, which is the report, where you get the report of what we've been doing from the onstart. So we have the profit or loss report, and all you need to do is just to input your date, from what date to what date you want to generate report. When you input it, every report here will generate. So the report on this column is based on this range, this date range. The report on this column is based on this month, as you can see, month to date, month to date. So it will give you from the 1st of July to this, right? So if we had put like 25th of July, it will still give us from the 1st of July to 25th of July. So it will give us month to date, and this will also give us year to date. So if we are having July here, so it will give us year to date, meaning that from January to July, right? Year to this date, that's to date, to date, to date. So this month to date. So from 1st of the month to this 15th. So if we make this 25th of July, maybe we don't have much transaction, you see, it will still give us from that. If you have other transaction, everything here will update. So based on the date you input here, this report will generate the sales report by product. You know, we have our final product, we have finished goods, we have finished goods 001, finished goods 002, finished goods 003, finished goods 004, finished goods 005. So you see all the finished goods, then it will give you the report, the sales you made for that month. That's based on this date range, the sales you made based on this sales range. Then for the month, from the 1st of that month to the 25th, then from the 1st of January to the 25th of July, you'll see it here. Then these are the totals. These are the totals. So this date is affecting this report, and when you go to the expense and customer report, the expense report also, it will affect it. Right. So the only report that this date, when you go back, that this date doesn't affect is the customer report. Definitely, you don't even have to input anything here. You don't have to input anything here. This will automatically have date in it. This will automatically have date in it. You don't have to input any dates here. Automatically, it will input the start date of using this template and the present date. Then the only date you need to input is this date here. from date to date. That's the date that covers the profit or loss report, sales report by product, and the expense report by category. But for the customer credit report, you are not to input anything. You just go here and look at what's happening and know the balance each customer is owing your business. Then follow up, make the necessary decision. Right. So that's all concerning this template. And if you want to get in touch for more information, support, my details are here. You can reach out to me. Right. So this brings me to the end of walking you through on how to use this record keeping template for manufacturing business. As I said earlier, to get this template, there's a link in the description section. You can make your purchase using the link there. I'll also want to get your feedback concerning this template. I'll be glad to get the feedback. And don't forget to like this video, share with as many that you know that this template will be of value to, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more value tips that will come your way. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.